Pentagon on Monday began enforcing a blockade on Iranian ports, a move that analysts believe could cost Iran over $400 million daily. The Treasury Department Tuesday announced it will reapply sanctions it had temporarily lifted on some Iranian oil exports. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance is dangling the promise of economic restoration for Iran if the country abides by President Donald Trump's terms to end the war. "If you guys can commit to not having a nuclear weapon, we're going to make Iran thrive economically," Vance said Tuesday evening at a Turning Point USA tour event at the University of Georgia. "If you're willing to act like a normal country, we're willing to treat you economically like a normal country." The move comes after peace talks in Pakistan's capital last weekend failed, according to Vance, because Iranian negotiators did not acquiesce to the White House's demands that the country turn over its enriched uranium. Trump and ally Israel launched the war on February 28 in an effort, they said, to ensure the country does not obtain a nuclear weapon. Iran responded to attacks that killed the country's longtime supreme leader by blocking traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, driving up global fuel prices and costing Americans at the pump. The average price of a gallon of gas across the U.S. has been over $4 for all of April. U.S. military attacks on Iran have eased since an April 7 ceasefire announcement. The break in fighting was also supposed to bring the reopening of the critical shipping channel off the Iranian coast, but traffic through Hormuz has barely ticked up as Iran will not agree to a peace that excludes Lebanon, where Israel has conducted a punishing bombing campaign and ground invasion. Israel and Lebanon began ceasefire negotiations in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. Get the Daily Briefing newsletter in your inbox. The day's top stories from sports to movies to politics to world events. The shifting dynamics of hostilities between the U.S. and Iran come as Trump said he expects negotiations to resume as soon as Wednesday. Democrats in Congress are expected to bring a fourth vote on Wednesday aimed at stopping Trump's war on Iran. The U.S. naval blockade on Iran's ports has been fully implemented, Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of U.S. forces stationed in the Middle East, said Tuesday evening. A blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented as U.S. forces maintain maritime superiority in the Middle East, the U.S. Central Command leader said in a statement. An estimated 90% of Iran's economy is fueled by international trade by sea. And in less than 36 hours since the blockade was implemented, U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. Experts expect the blockade could deliver a punishing blow to Iran's economy. According to an analysis by the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, a conservative think tank, the blockade could cost Iran as much as $435 million per day. At the same time, the Treasury Department announced it will soon reapply sanctions it had lifted on some Iranian oil exports. The department had lifted sanctions in an effort to ease pressures on global fuel prices, though lawmakers criticized the move for providing the country at war with the U.S. with a $139 million economic windfall.